Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, there's always a chance, right? Well, today I'm going to talk about skills and chance dice and just the skill system in Ubiquity. 2017, I'm going to be doing a few things with that. I'm preparing to play in this all for one regime Diablo Elite game or hopefully campaign. Also figuring out what I'm going to do with Ubiquity in my neck of the woods in terms of running stuff and maybe even running some, different genres with it. It's a skill-based system, so it's a departure from what I'm used to. Because I'm more of a class level-based system guy. That's been my experience, but it's a cool system. It's rules medium. It's not that tough to learn, but it's a bit of a learning curve. And actually, it's funny. I had a discussion today, and I really could do a video on learning curves in general, but that's a different topic. So I wanted to cover, chance dice and the skill system and all this stuff. So hold on for the chance dice. Remind me to talk about that. Uh, there's a bunch of games using Ubiquity. Leagues of Adventure is one of them. Triple Ace Games probably puts out the better core books. They're easier to cover a little bit more stuff. This is probably one of the better ones. Uh, that's a list. It's not a huge skill list. It's about 30 or so is average in these games. Although you can specialize. You can have little niche skills within those skills. Some of them are any of them you can have a niche skill within. And some of them are like, I think they're called broad skills, where you can't just take academics. You have to say, like, I'm going to be skilled in Middle Eastern history, that sort of thing. Character generation, you've got 15 points to spread around in skills, and then you've got another 15 points you can spend on various things, and you could buy. Generally, people buy a talent. It costs 15 points, but you can spend extra points. On more skills, not on a one-for-one basis anymore. You have to do it like as if you were earning experience points. If you want to raise a skill and an attribute, it costs you double. I think it's double the amount of experience points. So if you're trying to raise a skill up to 3, it's going to cost you 6 points. If you want to buy a specialized skill point in something, so say I want to, I'm skilled in archery, but I have a specialized skill within that of the short bow. It's going to cost me another 3 points to give myself another point in the short bow, that sort of thing. But I digress. But that's how you're able to buy skill ranks. Generally, your skills are based, not surprisingly, on your primary attributes. This is pretty standard. There's 6 primary attributes, really intuitive. There's strength, dexterity, something called body, which is analogous to constitution if you're talking about D&D thinking, intelligence, willpower, and charisma. In general, all these skills are based off your strength, your dexterity, your charisma, or your intelligence. Not too surprising. Now you have these primary attributes, and they range from 1 to 5. 2 is nominally average. Anytime you talk about a number in Ubiquity, you're talking about the number of dice you're going to add to a die pool. So if I have, say, a strength of 2, and we're going to talk about, say, like some athletic skill that we want to do. We're going to climb something. Okay, I already got 2. These are two dice. The red Ubiquity die is 2 dice. You can use any dice you want to in Ubiquity. Just say evens or successes, odds or failures. So you got a bunch of D6s or D10s. Go use those. But they do make special Ubiquity dice should you want them, and I think they're cool. Anyhow, so what happens next? Say I want to do some kind of athletics roll. Well, say I've got put 2 points in athletics, general athletics. So now I've got this 4 die pool. What happens? Say we have to look at the difficulty level of the task. Ubiquity tends to rate tasks in terms of difficulty level from about 1 to 6. 1 is easy. Let's see. 2 is average. 3 successes would be tough. 4 would be hard. 5 would be very hard, and 6 or more would be near impossible. When you're looking at these number of successes, what you really want to look at too is the average. Because in Ubiquity you have the option, unless the game master says you cannot, or the rules specifically say in this particular instance you can't take the average. You can take the average of your die pool. So, not surprisingly, if you've got a 4 die pool, the average of that is 2. If I'm faced with this easy athletics task in this case, I have the option to say, okay, I take the average, I succeed. If it's something that required 3 successes, well now, I'm in the position where I need to roll or do something else. Oh, I rolled a 4. Awesome. I succeeded in this particular case. But I can just take the average. So, if you get to this point where you've got this very hard, task that requires 5 successes, you really want to have a 10 die pool if you can get one. Well, how do you get one? Well, let's not get there yet. Let's talk about skill levels a little bit. Now, we're already assuming here that I've bought levels in athleticism. Okay, if I'm unskilled in a particular skill, well then I'm thinking, okay, great. Maybe it needs 2 successes, right? Okay, so I still got 2 strength. I've still got a 2 die pool, right? Wrong, because if you're trying to do anything that you're unskilled at, you take a -2 hit. So now all of a sudden I have no chance of success. Hold that, because we're going to talk about chances later. Triple Ace games, so like Leagues of Adventure and All for One, Regime Diabolique, they also have what are called zero-level skills, and you can port those into any other game pretty easily, actually. At the beginning of character generation, they give you 4 zero-level skills. Depending on the game, you can either choose what those are, or like, All for One, it's assumed that it's going to be like fencing and muskets and riding, things that musketeers should be able to do, and then you can choose another one. Those zero-level skills, well, then you don't take that hit. You don't get to add any extra in there. But if I have, say, just for sake of argument, I've decided I have a zero-level skill in athletics, but I never put any points in it. Okay, well, now I still have that 2-die pool. I don't take the -2 hit. That's all a zero-level skill really nets you. If I want to raise up from a 0 level to 1 rank in character generation, it's going to cost me half a point. After that, and if I want to do it later on with buying more experience points, then it's going to cost me 1 point. From there, it reverts to normal. How you want to port 0 levels into a game that doesn't have it is up to you, but I might make them cost a half a point at character gen, or just give you 4 freebies or whatever. Anyhow, I digress, which I do a lot, by the way. If you watch my videos, you know I digress quite a bit. So, how do we increase our chances of success in a particular task? Well, first of all, there's all kinds of situational modifiers. So you got some kind of advantageous, situation, and by the games, you can learn what they are. I mean, most of them are not rocket science. They're things like skill synergy, like 2 skills that might operate together. You might get another +2, or you've got somebody helping you, and so there's all kinds of positive and negative modifiers, based on situations. They're really not rocket science. They all make a lot of sense. What else can you do? You can use your style points. So the game has, and I've talked about this before, you can look at Runeklinger's videos. He does a great job explaining all this. You earn style points based on role-playing to your motivations and your character flaws. And you don't want to bank them. There should be like this flow back and forth. And sometimes even if you do something really cinematic using your style points, that was so cool, here, you take another style point back. But you spend them. You spend them on buying extra dice in your dice pool. So say, here I am, and I say I've just got this 0-level skill in athletics, and so I've just got 2 dice in my die pool. Okay, I need 2 successes. I better hope I roll 2, or say I got 2 style points lying around, and I want to do this athletic thing. Well, I can buy myself 2 more dice. I've got 4 dice now, so I don't even have to roll if I don't want to. I can do this with style, and say I take the average and I get these 4 successes here. What if I'm in the situation though, or maybe I don't have enough style points, or let's take the style points out of the equation entirely, and say, I don't have enough dice to succeed at this period. Okay, so say I'm in the situation, where I'm just unskilled, and I want to do this thing that requires athletics, or say maybe I'm just have a 0 level. I've got 2 dice, but it requires more successes. Okay, let's go with easy math here for the beginning. Say I need 2 successes. I've got no dice for some reason. You can ask the game master for chance dice. Now, in any particular situation, you can have up to 10 dice modifying the roll. It could be style and chance together, or whatever. But let's just make it really easy and say you've got no other modifiers happening. You just want to ask for chance dice. And so you're faced with this easy task, or average task, requires 2 successes, but I don't have any dice. What do I do? Oh, you get free dice, free money from heaven. This is awesome. I can succeed at anything. Kinda. Well, let's find out what happens. So say I'm going to ask my game master for 4 chance dice. Okay. Every 2 chance dice that you get, it raises the difficulty level of the task by 1. So if I ask for 2 chance dice, now all of a sudden the task now has a difficulty level of 3. I still can't do it, so I have to ask my game master for another 2 chance dice. Now I have 4 dice. I need to roll 4 successes. So in that particular case, I've cheated and I made myself a little sheet here, which is always helpful. That would chances of rolling 4 successes on 4 dice, 6.25%. Let's see if I failed. I rolled 1. That was awesome. You can ask for more chance dice. You can ask for up for 10. Mathematically, it's advantageous to do so. So say I've got a nice 10 die pool here. I've asked for, this has raised my task from now, because it's raised my task difficulty by 5 points. So now I need 7 successes. I have a 17.19% chance of rolling that many. Let's see what happens here. Do I get 7 successes? Oh, I get 4. I fail, but it was a chance. Okay, some people kind of knock this whole mechanic and say, well, it's just not that much of a chance. It was better than the one you had, pal. It was better than the one you had. So I dig it. It's got some mojo there that I like. The other type of thing I wanted to talk about is extended rolls in Ubiquity, where the classic example they give is something like, say you need to go to a library, find out some dark secrets. You have to go through a bunch of dark, musty tomes to find this horrible secret, the Necronomicon and all these other Cultes de Ghouls and all these other books, I believe, that you're looking at here to find this secret out. So generally, the idea is that they say you need about 5 to 10 successes. The game master figures out how many successes somebody needs in order to succeed at this extended task. And generally, I think the default would be it's going to, hour per attempt. So what you need to do, say, in order to get this piece of information out of these various books, the difficulty level is 3. So what's going to happen is you're going to need to roll, or maybe take the average. Say you got a 4-die pool, so you're going to say that I've got a 4-die pool. No, I'm going to say 6 because I want to. See, I'm terrible at math today. Say I have an 8-die pool. Okay, so I'm going to take the average. So I'm going to average of 4 successes. Every single hour as I'm rolling this gigantic 8-die pool. You need every success in excess of the difficulty level. So here I need to roll more than 3. I need to roll at least 4 successes every time. That counts towards this target number of 5 or 10. So let's just say it's 5. We need 5 successes in order to successfully find out this dark secret out of this bunch of tomes. So if I've got this massive 8-die pool, it's going to take me 5 hours because I'm going to get 1 success. I'm going to have an average of 4 successes every hour. Difficulty level is 3, so I'm going to get to bank 1 success every time. Here's my 8-die pool. Look at that. Let me roll. Oh yeah, 4. I get 1. I got the average. So that's it. It's really not that difficult, So if you're skilled at something, the more levels you put into it over and above your the ability score, that's how many dice you're rolling. If you have a 0-level skill, you don't get to add anything to the ability, score, but you get to roll that many dice, But if you're unskilled, then you're taking a -2 hit, So you end up with characters, as you're doing character generation Ubiquity, you kind of, figure out like what kind of person do I want. And, what I did fail to mention is you can kind of lump all these skills together. It's an artificial lumping, by me. But there are combat skills, and, you have to, if you want to be good at combat, you have to, you don't just say, I want to be good at combat. You have to take, melee or brawling or firearms or archery. Anything you're throwing at somebody, and then you can specialize. So you say, how to be take fencing, but I want to specialize in the Renoir style. So in that case, you take another half point at character generation, add it to that. Later on, if you're with experience points, those subspecialties, those cost you 3 points each. But I digress. Different topic. But there's other things like, basic diplomacy type skills. There are things that are like something called empathy, which is like it's like sense motive based on intelligence. There are things like kind of stealth and larceny and what have you. More sneaky types things, obviously. More like survival type things. The stuff that you basically think of being skilled at. The neat thing, in the game too, is any particular skill you come up with, like say something like stealth, you can then have specialize in say particular type of stealth, like moving silently. So say you buy yourself 3 points in stealth. You can say, okay, but I also have the specialized skill of moving silently. And I put like a point in that. So now you got a 4-die pool to add to your, say dexterity in that case. And now let's say you've got dex of 2. Now you've got 6 in moving silently, 5 in stealth. You get it. So pretty intuitive. Cool system. And chance dice. I like chance dice. Money from heaven.